Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, I want to go ahead and get this meeting started and call to order and ask Monica to go ahead and please call roll. Oh.
So I'm going to go ahead and call roll. Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Here.
Anthony Bertrand,
Here.
Michelle Edgar, absent. Megan Ellis, absent. Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Present.
Dinar Lamelli,
Present.
Tamika Miller,
Present.
Kelly Maypham,
Present.
Steve Weeks.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Monica. I will now turn the meeting over to our administrative law judge for agenda item 2, petition for reinstatement hearing.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on record before the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Amelia Johnson. This is board case number 1002-026-01-0351, Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2026-041-133. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2026. The time is roughly 10 a.m. This is the date and time set for hearing on Ms. Johnson's petition. We have already established that a quorum of the board is present, but just for the administrative record, I would ask that the board members identify themselves, starting with the member furthest to my right.
Anthony Bertram.
Dinar Lamelli. Tamika Miller. Callie Maypham.
Tanya Fairley.
Danielle Munoz.
Steve Weeks.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez.
Thank you. May I have the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Anahita Crawford, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California.
Thank you. And Ms. Johnson is appearing virtually. Good morning, Ms. Johnson. You're muted, Ms. Johnson.
Good morning.
Good morning. May I please have our court reporter state her name and CSR number for the record? Thank you, and good morning, Ms. Parkinson. Ms. Johnson, you've petitioned for reinstatement before, correct?
Yes, it was a few years back, I believe in 2018, but I didn't receive the decision until later. But they did make a decision in court. But they told me there was a few more things that I needed to do before reinstating again.
Okay.
Before applying
Well,
again.
I suspect that the procedure that was followed in that hearing is probably pretty similar to the procedure we'll follow this morning.
Yes.
I will turn first to Ms. Crawford to present your petition and provide an overview of your case. Then you'll have the opportunity to testify under oath to explain to the board why you believe your petition should be granted. Ms. Crawford will have the opportunity to ask you questions. The board members will also have the opportunity to ask you questions. And then the matter will be taken under submission and the board will deliberate in closed session. You'll learn of the board's decision at a later date. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No, none at all.
Okay. If at any point during the hearing you have any questions, let me know. I can't give you legal advice, but I might be able to help explain why we're doing or saying certain things. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. With that, Ms. Crawford.
Thank you, Your Honor. I did want to initially put on the record that I am appearing on behalf of the Attorney General pursuant to Government Code Section 11522 to assist the panel in fact-finding, and my role is not adversarial, but simply to ensure the panel has adequate information from which to make a decision. I would like to provide a background at this time of the case. The board issued a cosmetology license to the petitioner on October 1st of 2013. That expired October 31st of 2017. On January 10th of 2017, the board had filed an accusation against the petitioner based on an allegation of incompetence. On November 20th of 2015, the petitioner had performed a keratin treatment on a 7-year-old girl without a thorough consultation and without understanding fully how to apply that treatment. The petitioner then sent the child home with her father with the keratin treatment in her hair and instructions that the treatment not be washed out for 24 hours, when in fact it should have been washed out within 15 minutes of application. Due to the petitioner's incompetent treatment, the child suffered from headaches, an apparent burn on her scalp, and significant hair loss. When the child's father contacted the petitioner and asked for information about the keratin product she had used in order to treat the child's injuries, petitioner refused to provide him that information and instead threatened him. During the administrative hearing on the matter, the court found no evidence in mitigation and that her testimony was extremely confused and generally not credible, and that petitioner had failed to demonstrate any understanding of her wrongdoing or any remorse for the injuries her actions caused to the child. As a result, on November 26, 2018, her cosmetologist license was revoked. On June 9th of 2020, petitioner's first petition for reinstatement was heard in front of this board. And on August 24th of 2020, the petition for reinstatement of the petitioner's cosmetology license was denied. The basis was that petitioner had not practiced cosmetology since the board revoked her license and had not stayed up to date on current board laws and regulations. Additionally, the petitioner has only paid $112 towards her cost recovery, which is $2,127.50. Your Honor, at this time, I can introduce the petition packet.
Please.
The petition for reinstatement of case summary is in front of Exhibit 1, and perhaps we can name that 1A. Is that something we can do, Your Honor?
I think for simplicity's sake, it would probably be best just to make that 1 and then correspondingly alter the other numbers.
Okay. So as Exhibit 1, I would like to introduce the petition for reinstatement summary. It is prepared by Ryan Lee, probation and enforcement analyst with the board. I'd like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 1.
Any objection, Ms. Johnson?
Ms. Johnson should have received that in an email this morning that was just sent to her.
Ms. Johnson, I believe you're muted.
I did receive the email, but I also have the package that was delivered in the mail also.
Okay, so any objection to what we're going to mark as Exhibit 1, which is the petition summary?
No, none at all.
All right, Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Okay. Exhibit 2.
Which just for the board in the packets, this is presently Exhibit 1.
Is the petition for reinstatement provided by the petitioner that would like to mark and introduce as Exhibit 2.
Any objection, Ms. Johnson?
No, none at all.
All right, Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Okay. Exhibit 3 contains the narrative statement of the petitioner as part of her petition for reinstatement that would like to mark and introduce. It also contains documents in support of her petition, which contain a letter from her school, Santa Monica College, as well as a certificate of excellence that was also provided from Santa Monica College.
Any objection, Ms. Johnson?
No, none at all.
All right, Exhibit 3 is admitted.
Exhibit 4 is the hearing confirmation date for today's hearing date. We'd like to mark and introduce that at this time.
Any objection, Ms. Johnson?
No, none at all.
All right, Exhibit 4 is admitted.
Exhibit 5 contains the license certification information for the petitioner I'd like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 5.
Any objection? Ms. Johnson,
Yes, yes.
any objection?
No, none at all.
All right. Exhibit 5 is admitted.
Exhibit 6 is the underlying disciplinary documents. In this case, it is the proposed decision as well as the underlying accusation. I'd like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 6.
Any objection?
No, none at all.
Exhibit 6 is admitted.
Exhibit 7 is the board's decision from the petition for reinstatement initially filed by the petitioner. And we'd like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 7.
Any objection?
No, none at all.
All right. Exhibit 7 is admitted.
And Exhibit 8 contains the notice of hearing for today's hearing date that was sent to the petitioner by our office. Would like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 8.
Any objection?
No, none at all.
Exhibit 8 is admitted.
At this time, Your Honor, I don't have any additional information to present. I would just reserve on examining and asking questions of the petitioner.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Ms. Johnson, do you wish to testify this morning?
No, I do not.
All right. So if you choose not to testify, Ms. Crawford does have the ability to call you as a witness and ask you questions. So if you would please raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you'll give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Johnson, since you're choosing not to testify, I'm going to turn the floor over to Ms. Crawford. She may have some questions for you, okay?
Okay, that works.
All right, Ms. Crawford.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
At the time of the incident that I referred to in my opening statement, where were you working?
During that time, I was working in a private studio at Salon Republic in West Hollywood.
How long had you been working there?
It was just recently that I had moved into that private studio. I had been there for probably about 2 months or so.
And was it your own studio?
It was like a private suite.
How long had you been a practicing cosmetologist at that point?
I was licensed in 2013. And I had been practicing, if that was in 2015, 13, like about 3 or 4 years or so. But before then, I was a student and had been practicing and had been an assistant for probably like about 5 years or so.
Okay. And prior to the incident mentioned with the keratin treatment, you had been seeing this little girl. Her father had been bringing her to you pretty regularly.
Yeah, she was a regular client of mine ever since I had been licensed, and everything had went really well up until that very point where I performed the service. And even after that, they reached out to me just to see if I was still working. They were worried and things like that, but I just have not performed any services since then.
What do you mean you haven't performed any services since
Any
the date of the-
services, like on, like, paid services, mostly just on in the school.
Okay.
Yeah, but not like working in a salon. I haven't worked in a salon since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was this young girl coming to you for on a regular basis?
So originally, her parents reached out to me because she had curly hair and they wanted her hair to be straightened. So because it was much more easier to manage, which she did have beautiful curls. However, they wanted it to be straight. So I would always do a flat iron, a really simple flat iron that didn't require too much heat because she was a kid and I didn't want her to cry because it was too hot. So she would always get a flat iron. And then all of a sudden her dad and mother is like, the hair isn't staying straight. The flat iron lasts about a week or two, but we wanted to stay straight. We wanted to be permanently straight. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know about putting a relax. I don't, I'm not really trained. I don't know what to do. So then they suggest we do a Brazilian blowout. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. Even though that's not something that I was trained on during the time, I still tried it, and, made a mistake.
And looking back, what was the mistake that you made?
Well, first and foremost, I wasn't thoroughly trained. I hadn't performed the service enough to be able to perform it in a professional environment and actually charge someone. It's also not something that's taught in cosmetology school. However, you do have to have a special certification in order to perform the service. Um, Looking back, before back in 2013, somebody presents something to me, whether I have been trained for it or not, I would just try it. But now I'm a little bit more strict on the type of services that I perform, especially when it's involving chemicals, because I believe that was the biggest thing with the state last time we were in court was the chemicals. And so, being that I was not thoroughly trained and being that I did not have done it enough times, in cosmetology too, they make us perform services at least 50 to 100 times before we can actually perform it on a paid patron. And so
Hello,
there was
sorry, excuse me. Can you please slow down for the court reporter?
yes.
And then please reiterate what you were just saying. Thank you.
So I had not performed the service enough practicing. I did not have the certification, but I had just decided to try it. And so I made a mistake because I was not there really trained.
So what I'm trying to identify, the mistake you're talking about, did you make a mistake? In what sense did you make a mistake? What was the mistake?
Well, the mistake was performing the service and not being trained, not practicing it enough, not having enough thorough practice to deal with the chemical, not having enough knowledge of the chemical, performing it when it wasn't even actually the actual service that should have been performed. It should have been a relaxer if they wanted to stay completely straight. Because a Brazilian blowout, after doing research, it does not keep the hair completely straight. All it does is smooths it out and makes it more manageable. A relaxer will permanently straighten your hair. So it wasn't even the right service that was actually performed during that time.
If a similar situation presented itself to you today where you are asked to perform a service that you may know enough about but don't feel thoroughly comfortable with, how would you handle it in this situation?
Well, after making the mistake of just performing a service, and not having thorough enough knowledge, and after being back in school and becoming a student again, what I've realized is that you should never perform a service if you have not done it multiple times before, practiced it, researched it, and thoroughly learned how to utilize that chemical or any service actually, whether it's braids, whether it's twists, whether it's even if it's not chemicals, even if it's just any service, you should have at least performed it a number of times so that you can know how this is going to turn out. You can't just perform anything and just expect a miracle. You have to really take the time to know what you're doing, research it, practice it, and then you can charge someone to perform that service. So now I do not perform services unless I am thoroughly trained and thoroughly knowledgeable on the chemical and completely comfortable performing that service on someone that is a paid patron. If not, I will perform it in front of a teacher or in front of someone at the school. If I have any questions or if I feel not comfortable, then it would have to be someone with a little bit more training that have more knowledge on the subject. But I've just refused to perform services that I don't have enough training.
Sorry, can you please slow down a little bit? Thank you.
I refuse to perform services that I don't have enough training with.
And how do you identify for yourself whether they're a service that you're being asked to perform, you are comfortable with performing?
Well, I'm fully aware of what I was trained in cosmetology as far as in services. I was able to finally take the curly hair class that I had never took before, and they educated on how to, what services are best for curly hair, straightening curly hair, what processes and procedures are best and safe according to the state board. Being that we are not trained to do Brazilian blowouts in school, I personally would never perform that service because it's not something that I was trained to do in cosmetology school. It's completely out of my scope of practice. However, I am aware that there is some chemicals and products on the market that is Brazilian blowout and that we can perform, but you just have to get a special training to do. But as far as I'm concerned, and as far as my teachers are concerned at Santa Monica College, and after I explained to them everything that happened, they told me that it's safer to never perform services that are not taught in the school. So,
And if you were to obtain your license, what is your plan for what you plan to do with your license?
well, I plan to start working as a licensed cosmetologist who is well educated on the subject matter, all practices and all procedures that are under the cosmetology license that we are licensed to perform, that is under my scope of practice as a professional. I will perform those services based on the state board rules and regulations. I will do it 100% and make sure that I'm practicing with the most caution in every area. Make sure that I try to perform a consultation thoroughly. Make sure that I have the best communication that I can with every client so that the service is performed at the best of my abilities and so that the client is satisfied. If that is not the case, because you cannot satisfy everybody, then I will try to take the best precaution, the best approach as a professional that's knowledgeable on the subject matter to make the best decision for that client.
Do you plan to work in a commercial salon or your own studio?
Well, I do prefer to work in my own studio because, you know, after experience and working in like salons and things like that, I haven't had the best experience. I haven't found the the best fit salon. And so based off of my experience, based off of the services that I perform, my price rack, the way what I charge, I do prefer to work in a private studio.
But as someone who has not practiced in several years, do you do you have any concerns that you would need some guidance of someone more skilled immediately available to you when you first start working?
Well, what I've learned about that is that being a licensed cosmetologist does mean that I've practiced every single procedure under my scope of practice, and that I'm knowledgeable on every procedure under my scope of practice, that I do have enough thorough training to perform these procedures at the level and the professionalism that the state is saying that I need to be. So I am fully aware and I'm fully knowledgeable on subject matter, so I should be able to perform those services at the competent level of a licensed cosmetologist. However, if there ever comes a time where I feel like I do not know or I need some help, thankfully, I have all of my teachers' number from Santa Monica College who have 30, 40, 20 years of experience. If I need to give them a call or if I even need to step onto the floor at Santa Monica College, they left it open for anybody, even licensed cosmetologists, to come there and practice if that's the case.
What have you identified as some of the dangers of practicing certain or performing certain treatments that you may not be thoroughly knowledgeable to do?
Well, since I've been licensed since 2013. However, the mistake happened in 2016. Since I've stepped back into school and gained more knowledge on the subject matter, every single procedure, chemicals, not just hair, also nails, also skin. I am a full scope cosmetologist licensed. I don't see any issue with me performing any service that is under the scope of practice for a licensed cosmetologist. I have thoroughly taken the time to perfect my skills and get more knowledgeable in the subject matter so that I can be competent enough to perform each service as a licensed cosmetologist.
I do understand that, but what I'm asking is, now that you have done a lot of your own education and gone to Santa Monica College, what have you learned about what the dangers are in performing services that you, let's say, would not be qualified to perform, if there were any such services that came your way?
Well, as a licensed cosmetologist, I would have to be qualified and competent enough to perform these services. If someone is not qualified enough or not competent enough to perform these services, then yes, they need to go back to school, reevaluate the subject matter. However, I have done that. I've read, I've researched, I've practiced. I don't see any danger with me performing any service as a licensed cosmetologist. Anything that's under my scope of practice, I am competent enough to perform. However, if you feel that it is a danger, you can present that.
Ms. Johnson, I want you to focus on my question. I'm not doubting your competence right now. What I'm asking is, since you've gone and received education, what have you learned about the dangers to an individual if somebody, not necessarily you, performs services that they are not qualified to perform? What could happen to that client?
If someone performs a service that they're not qualified to perform or they don't have enough knowledge on the subject matter, then they will make a mistake or danger a client. It is very easy to make a mistake if you are not focused, if you are not reading the directions, if you are not thoroughly taking the time to evaluate each situation. So there is many dangers, especially with chemicals, with the potential hydrogen of a 5 of higher, anything that is a relaxer, anything that is a perm, a soft perm. These are very strong chemicals, hair color, that can danger a client, even when you're doing nails. It's a lot of chemicals when you're doing facials, chemical pills. There's a lot of things that can be considered a danger. However, if you've thoroughly researched your subject matter and you know what it takes to perform this service and you take all precaution when performing this service, then you should be okay.
Can you identify one of the things that could happen if a service is performed incompetently, such as a Brazilian blowout or a keratin treatment?
Well, if something is performed incompetently, then you can endanger a client. It could be a consumer harm case where, a client has burns. Now they're paying for medical bills, which can be very expensive. as a result of somebody being incompetent or not focused during that time, or just simply not in the right mind, or simply just out of it to be able to perform that service, then it could be very dangerous. And it could be very dangerous to the client. So it's very important that if you're a licensed cosmetologist performing a service, especially a chemical service, that have your mind completely focused during that time. You're able to competently read all directions that's needed for those chemicals, perform that service thoroughly, because if you do not, then it can be very, very, very dangerous.
So looking back at this case, when you put keratin treatment in a 7-year-old's hair and asked that it not be washed out for 24 hours, you look back, you know the mistakes you made. How could that treatment have caused harm to the client?
I mean, it was definitely something, it was a mistake that I made that was completely mindless during the time. I simply just, during that time, I wasn't, as focused. Number one. Number two, I didn't have the thorough training and practicing. So, I made a total mindless mistake that resulted in, a client being hurt. And so, looking back on that, it's definitely something that is, it's just unexplainable. I can't explain the feelings that I have towards the situation, and how, it's just something that's horrible, honestly. But looking back on it, it's really nothing I can do at this point because it happened. And all I can forever do is continue to stay up to date on current practices as a cosmetologist, and stay as focused as possible when performing those services, and making sure to do a thorough consultation. I know that it is a lot to remember. As a licensed cosmetologist, it is a lot to stay up to date on. However, if we, really read and stay up to date and stay focused, then, it's definitely something that should stay, I just had to breathe during that point because it's just such an emotional, situation for me. And it almost makes me feel like I cannot breathe because it's just so horrifying to think, what happened. Um, if you could just give me a few seconds. Moving forward, I have, as a student at Santa Monica College, continued to practice my services on the salon floor, and I have seen tremendous growth in myself as a licensed cosmetologist, and even clients and teachers. I'm just getting a whole different response and rapport, and clients are even willing to pay me more money because I'm just doing such an excellent job. So I just feel, happy and proud that I have continued, my education as a licensed cosmetologist, and that I did not give up because of such a terrible situation, because everything has just gotten better since then. So I will continue to study, to research, and to practice no matter what. And I will stay in contact with all my teachers so that I can, just in case something comes up where I just don't know.
I'm assuming that part of your education included how chemicals can affect the scalp if you're doing hair treatments.
Oh yes, we definitely was educated on scalp, anything that can happen to the scalp, scalp disorders. Yes, it did.
Okay, so what I'm specifically asking is if you were to go back to that incident where you put keratin treatment into the hair of a 7-year-old and you asked that that treatment not be washed out for 24 hours, knowing what you know now, what do you think would have happened to that child's scalp had she not washed it out for 24 hours? What do you anticipate would happen with
Well,
your
she would
current knowledge?
definitely end up with, irritation on the scalp. She did end up with burns, you know, but she definitely would have ended up with some type of like serious issues with the scalp that would have had to have been treated by a doctor or medications, you know. And so that's the result of performing a service when you're not completely educated on the matter.
And since your license was revoked, what type of, we know you've been taking classes at Santa Monica. What type of work have you been doing to keep your skills up to date?
Well, since I've been in cosmetology school for a few years now, actually. So since that court hearing, I'm gonna say a week later, I started back in cosmetology school. And I ended up doing the whole entire program over from the beginnings to the end. And I've literally still, even to this day, is still in cosmetology school. On the salon floor, practicing services, dealing with my teachers one-on-one, and not necessarily charging, because I don't want to charge until I'm, licensed. So as a student, I've been performing services in the school with teachers there that's helping me, become stronger, wiser, and more competent in the area. I've been able to read, do more research. And that's what I've been doing as far as in cosmetology. However, working in a hair salon, I have not done that. Just mostly working as a student, mostly as a student professional that is researching and educating myself so that I can become more knowledgeable and more confident and more stronger in the area. Outside of that, I have worked a few jobs. I am working at a daycare right now. And yes, so I've worked at a daycare, and then I also worked a job before then where I was doing a cleaning job. But other than that, I haven't really worked many jobs, like other jobs outside of that.
Okay. And have you taken any courses, such as continuing education courses that licensees would take to um, enhance knowledge and skills of the practice?
Yes. So I've done, of course, the basic education, English, math, science, all that stuff that you need to get an associate's degree, which I do believe can help you with hair color and working with chemicals because a lot of it is math. Um, and I've also taken a few other classes, music classes. I've taken, social and behavioral classes. I've taken business classes, which will teach you how to scale your business. I've taken multiple classes because I've had a lot of time to go to school since not being licensed. So just continuing education and things like that.
Have you taken any courses specific to uh, the Board of Cosmetology's um, licensing requirements? Any specific continuing education
Oh,
courses related to
yes.
your
Oh,
practice?
yes. Definitely. I've taken state board classes at basically whatever class that's needed for cosmetology, I've taken. When I was in court last time, they told me that they wanted me to focus on chemicals. However, I went ahead on and took more than that. So I took all the chemical classes, but I also took, other classes in that too.
Okay. Through Santa Monica College?
Yes, through Santa Monica College. I just jumped in and started taking all the theory classes. And then after the theory classes, I started taking the practical classes. And then I got on the salon floor and started performing those services as a student. And started purchasing products as a student and practicing as a student. And I am still a student to this day at Santa Monica College on the salon floor. I finished all the other classes, but I am still practicing as a student.
Do you take any classes or trainings outside of Santa Monica that's offered for your practice?
Well, what I like about Santa Monica College is that they have the cosmetology program, they have salon floor, they have the theory classes, but then we also have Cosmo Club, which every single week they bring in people that talk about chemicals like perms and relaxers who have like years of experience. They might do classes or demos during that time. And I do chime into a lot of that, which helps me to, get further education outside of the school. However, most of the things that we need to know that falls under our scope of practice is taught in the school.
Okay. And also looking back, do you recall why you did not give the father of your client information about the treatment you used so he could treat his daughter's injuries?
Now that I don't it's been a very long time. I don't like 100% remember rather, what happened. I know that it was a text message conversation that was happening. He called first and told me what happened, and then we were texting, but I don't really remember what exactly was said. But you know, if he said that I did not give him information on the chemical, I don't remember that. I thought that I might have. I don't 100% recall what, like, if I gave him the name of the chemical or not. Um, but I know that the chemical that I used, it wasn't something that I've ever used before in school or even outside of school. I've never used it. So, you know, I don't really remember everything because it's been I think it's been almost 10 years. But I know that I tried to give him as much information that I could during that time. And then I believe he said he went to the doctor and something had happened to her hair. And then, we just, I don't know what happened after that. He ended up filing the petition later, but I believe he said he ended up taking her to a different hairdresser that started performing a different type of service, but I'm not exactly sure. And then he wanted me to finance that. And I told him that I couldn't afford to pay him to go to another hairdresser. And that's all I really remember about how that situation ended. And then he filed a complaint after that.
And looking back, you recognize that that child and father had placed a lot of trust in you based on your previous relationship with them?
Yes, I'm very aware of that. And even her mother called me right after the hearing, and she was very remorseful and she was very sad about what happened. And she said she really hoped that I can, figure it out and get it together, because she was even willing to bring her daughter back to me after that happened, because she said that she had built such a, good relation. We had built such a good relationship, and that she didn't want it to end that way. The mother, this was not the father. And I just let her know that at the time I was going back to school for cosmetology so that I can enhance my skills and get better in the subject matter dictated. However, I hadn't really talked to the dad after that, so I don't
But I'm
know.
talking about prior to the incident, you recognized that because they were coming to you for some time, they put a lot of trust in you to take care of their daughter's hair.
Yes, they did. And they put a lot of trust in me. They trusted me as a professional to perform this service. They trusted my professional recommendation for the type of product to use. And being that was not performed during that time, I can see that it could have been very disappointing for him and his wife, because I really do believe that they genuinely like doing business with me as a professional. But since that happened, it was just like, very disappointing all the way around, I think, for everybody. And so I can see that. And, I'm just kind of speechless about everything that happened, because it's just hurtful for me to really be able to, think about what happened. But I know that, it was something really bad. So
And do you understand, looking back, that you did not hold that trust faithfully because you should have told them you couldn't perform those services and didn't want to harm your client?
yeah, I did. I do. So yes, I could see that they definitely put a lot of trust in me. So I could see that it was something really bad that had happened. So
And
And-
all of your clients who come to you are going to have that trust in you to either perform a service competently or tell them if you cannot.
yes.
Are you
I
prepared to tell a client that you cannot perform a service if you don't feel comfortable performing it?
Well, I mean, for me, I honestly have decided that I would, only perform services that I am confident and educated and well knowledgeable on performing. If not, I will not perform. It's only certain services that I will perform.
And you would feel comfortable telling someone, an established client, no, I cannot perform this service.
Well, it's not that I can't perform the service. These are the only services that are available. Um, the way that I would say it, it wouldn't be like I just can't perform that service. I'll try to communicate it, you know, most services that fall under my scope of practice, I will perform. But if it doesn't fall under my scope of practice, I'll just let them know that doesn't fall under my scope of practice.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. We will now open it up to questions from the board, starting with Member Bertram.
No questions.
Member Lomelli?
Good afternoon, Ms. Johnson. I do have a couple of questions. For my first question, can you confirm when it is that you graduated from SMC's Cosmo program and what the title of the associate's degree was? I did read the statement from your counselor at Next Up, but it didn't clarify as to which specific degrees. It just said that you had earned two associate's degrees and various certifications. But if you can just confirm when you actually graduated from the program and which degree what it was.
So I graduated last year in the spring, and I graduated with an associate's degree in business. I graduated with an associate's degree in social and behavioral sciences, and I also graduated with a degree in cosmetology.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, I do see the certificate of excellence that was awarded by the Cosmo program. Was that for your performance in the program? Because it's not clarifying that it was a completion certification. So can you just give me a little bit more information on the certificate of excellence?
Yes, so that was presented at the cosmetology graduation. So when we graduate and walk the stage, they present a certificate, and that's what was given to me. And then after that, you have to apply to the school for a degree, and then they post it is on your degree, and then you get your degree from the school.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Member Miller?
Good morning, Ms. Johnson. I have a couple of questions. You stated that after cosmetology school, after re-enrolling in Santa Monica Cosmetology School, I just want to get a little bit more clarity of how it actually works, that you completed the program and now you're re-enrolled in the program?
No, so what ended up happening is because a lot of students were leaving the school and needed more questions from the teachers, Santa Monica College made it where you can continue to take those salon floor classes until you can forever, like even if you're licensed. So you can keep enrolling in salon floor classes like forever. Like you could just keep taking them. So not just me, but there's been other people that have come back. Like, I got licensed, I went to the salon, and I still need help. And so,
Okay,
yeah, so I just enrolled and kept enrolling until I got my date.
okay, thank you for that clarity. So how often were you taking those classes? And then I have another question after that.
Well, after I got done with everything that was actually required, which was last spring, I just kept enrolling in the salon floor classes and kept going even to this day. My teachers always ask me like, "Oh, wow, you're still here," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm waiting because I
Ma'am,
have
slow
to,
down, please.
I'm waiting because I have to go to court." And they already know my situation, most of the teachers there. And so I was just waiting, and I let them know, I don't go to court until May. It took a while for me to get a date. And so I just keep, I can't really perform the services outside of school. So I just keep going as a student.
Okay, thank you for that. So you are not performing any services. You have not worked in a salon since your license has been revoked.
No, no, because I don't want to like make a mistake, when something happens. So I'm mostly just focusing on perfecting my skills, um, and perfecting everything so that when the time is right, I'm ready to perform those services.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Member Pham?
I have no questions. Thank you.
All right. Member Fairley?
Hi, Tanya Fairley. I am a licensed cosmetologist, salon owner, been in the industry 30 years. I have quite a few questions for you and clarity. You stated several times that your clients were even paying you more for services, but yet you're not licensed. Can you please clarify that?
Well, the only services, I don't know if you noticed, I have braids in my hair right now. The state told me that when my license got revoked, they said these are the only services that you can perform that are not in the scope of cosmetology. One of them was braiding, one of them was weaving. So I've been doing braids, but I mostly do it at the school though. And clients are like paying, they're paying me more, they're tipping me more. Sometimes I'll get like $100 tip, they'll give me $150 tip. I'm just like, oh my wow. Sometimes, they'll give me more money. But it's braids mostly.
Okay. Another question is, um, according to your statement, when this incident happened with the young girl, you were in a Regency suite. Is that correct?
I
Or
was at a
Republic, Salon Republic?
Salon Republic in West Hollywood.
Okay, so you were in a salon, you were licensed for about 2 years, and then this incident happened. So you were unsupervised, correct?
During that time, at Salon Republic, they're private suites. However, there
Okay, hold
is
on, hold
like,
on. Just listen to my question. When you worked at Salon Republic, you were a suite owner. Did you have anyone supervising you?
No.
So what makes you feel that you will be equipped to leave school and go out on your own again after not being in the industry for 10 years?
Well, I feel like I have the training. I've been in school for almost 7 years. And I've practiced and practiced and practiced until I'm seriously just can't practice anymore. And my stuff is coming out perfect. And so once you get to the point where everything is perfect, you can 100% work in a studio without needing someone to supervise you. Most of my stuff is coming out so good that, like I told you, clients are tipping me more and paying me more at the school, even. They're like, we feel like we should pay you full price because this is a professional job right here. Like
Hold
even
on,
on,
hold on, hold
yeah,
on, hold on. Slow
Jonathan,
down.
you need you to
yeah.
slow down so
So,
we have a clear record, okay?
yeah. So that's not me saying that. That's the client saying, we don't think you should be here anymore. You've been at the school for a very long time. Your work is coming out excellent.
Okay,
And
let me,
even, clients are telling me like, this is salon work. We're going to give you $300 for these braids you did at in this, even though it's at the school, we're going to tip you. We're going to pay you more money because this is a professional job.
okay, so let me make a clear distinction between braids and chemical services.
Yes.
You've been working on braids, doing braids is a big difference than chemical services.
Oh, yes. But I've also been doing,
Excuse me, let me finish, please. Okay,
yeah.
because I need clarity on this question. So again, my question is, when this situation happened in 2013, you left school, you got licensed, and you performed a chemical service. This is
Yes. Yeah.
not braids.
I get
So
that.
what makes you feel that you are equipped to leave school and work on your own doing chemical services if all you've been doing is braids and weaves?
Well, that they said that I could do braids and weaves. However, as a student, I have been performing perms. I've also been performing relaxers, full head of highlights, partial highlights, full head of hair bleaching, haircuts, men's haircuts, women's haircuts, blowouts, flat irons, press and curl.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Are these all supervised or unsupervised?
All of those are supervised.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Thank you. Member Munoz?
Oh, those are supervised, yeah.
Hi, Amelia. I just have a question. Do you have I don't see any transcripts or certificates for any of the classes that you were talking about. Can you give us a reason why we don't have that?
Well, I didn't submit the transcripts because I didn't see that it was something that was required. I know that you guys said to submit certificates and things like that and a letter of recommendation and narrative statement. So I submitted that, but I mean, I didn't really see it, that it was necessary to submit transcripts. But I don't know. Is that something?
Usually when you're trying to prove your rehabilitation, you'll submit some type of proof that you've actually taken the courses. So just
Well,
wa-
the certificate of excellence is something that they gave us at the graduation. You cannot go to the graduation without have taken those classes.
It just doesn't say like the time it took or completion date, but I think you answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah. In order to petition for graduation, you have to have completed a certain amount of classes, and you cannot go to the graduation unless you've completed those classes. And when you go to the graduation, they give you that certificate.
Thank you. Member Weeks?
Yes. I have a couple of questions. You're testifying under penalty of perjury now that you have a degree in cosmetology and you have completed their cosmetology program at Santa Monica College.
I have. I
correct?
completed I completed the program at cosmetology.
Okay, a couple of questions. On your personal information sheet, you list under, and this was filled out in the end of December of last year.
Yes.
Your current employment information was at Images Studios, which is
Yes.
a salon suite. What did you do at Image Studios in employment?
Well, that wasn't my current employment. That was something that I put on there because I knew that that's where I was going to be working, practicing cosmetology, but I haven't yet started that job. I I was going to start it, but I haven't started it yet because I decided to wait. Um, I thought that the only thing that needed to be posted down there for work would have been something related to cosmetology. So I put that. But if you want to know my employment outside of cosmetology, then I've been working at a
No,
day
my only question is just the Images Studio as it's related to
cosmetology.
licensing matters.
It's related to cosmetology. So
Yes,
I
yes.
put
It's our only
yes.
interest.
Yes, so I thought that when they were asking me about employment, that they were referencing something that had to do with cosmetology. So I put them because that was going to be the place that I worked once I got licensed or once I
So
decided.
you weren't employed there, but you were hoping to work there at some date if you ever got licensed again. Is that
Yes,
your logic?
or if I ever wanted to perform braids or weaves, because I know that I can do that. But I just hadn't started yet.
Well, I
Um,
noticed that on your narrative statement, there are a couple of things here. The one statement I love is, this was the first and only mistake you've ever made. God, I wish I could say that. I mean, that's pretty good. But let's talk about another statement you made there also. You state, after my license was revoked, I had issues trying to maintain those clients and it has affected me. Does that mean that you were practicing cosmetology on these individuals after your license was revoked?
no, not really, not at all. Like
What
I
does that
had
statement mean then?
not at all. Mostly working other jobs, like literally working other jobs, working other jobs. And then the only time I was actually able to perform those services was in the school.
How much of the blame of what happened to you would you put on the schools not being able to, according to you, train you properly?
What? Whoa, that's a good question. But during that time, so the school that I had went to originally was Trade Technical College back in 2010. And I took like about 2 semesters of classes. And then the department chair told me that I should go outside the district for whatever reason why. I ended up going to Marinello's Schools of Beauty. And when I got there, they didn't do any theory. They just told me that I'm on a salon floor now. And all of a sudden, I'm on a salon floor with not enough training and not enough education, which was very weird. However, I didn't question it at the time. I just stayed on the salon floor until it was time for me to graduate. Next thing you know, I was graduating. Next thing you know, I was going to state board. So I will say that I wasn't trained properly originally,
I,
and it did affect me. It did. It really did. There was a lot of things I didn't know. I was licensed, but I just
you didn't know
know.
because these schools did not train you properly?
No, did not. And Marinello Schools of Beauty ended up shutting down years later. I don't
Let
know
me ask you
why.
another question. Let me ask you
Yeah.
another question. Were
Yeah.
you honest in your communication with the Williams?
Well, during that time, I think we were like, he called and he let me know what had happened with his starter. And we were talking and then he said he went to the doctor. He sent me the information and I was like, okay, wow, what happened? And then a few days later, he says that he took her to another hairdresser, that he was paying money to do her hair, and he wanted me to pay for it. And I'm like, I don't think,
But
I
your
should.
relationship with the Williams had seriously deteriorated because when we had an expert come in before and look at the testimony of the Williams and yourself, uh, they were told supposedly by you that you didn't use any chemicals on her hair, and if they continued to bother you, they would go to jail.
Oh no. You know what? I don't remember everything detail by detail, word by word. I should have documented that. Now, you know,
I
I
think you
should have
would remember
documented
the word jail.
that. I don't remember that. I don't. I
Okay, I
do
don't have any
not
further
recall saying
questions.
that to someone. If it was said, I don't
I'm done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Member Jimenez?
Hi, good morning. Can you tell me the titles of the certificates that you earned? I know you gave us the titles of your AA and your AS, but can you tell me what certificates of completion you earned while you were in cosmetology school, please?
Okay, so my certifications are, believe I have one in marketing, and then it's so many of them that just post to my transcripts, and sometimes I don't even know they're posting to my transcripts because I've taken so many classes. But I know one of them was in marketing, another one was in IGETC certification for transfer to the university. Another one was for the California State University certification for general education. And I believe I have another one in sales, and I have another one in salon management, a certificate in salon management that I received because at Santa Monica College, it's a requirement that you take salon management and business classes, and it just ended up becoming a certificate. So all that stuff just started adding up, and they kept on reevaluating my transcripts, and things just kept on accumulating to degrees that I didn't even know I was under degrees, like in social and behavioral science. And they just continue to reevaluate, and I continue to become a person who have multiple associate degrees and certifications at Santa Monica College.
And then can you tell me what trainings you finished for chemical treatments?
Oh, for chemicals. So originally, that was another thing that they had asked me. The state had told me specifically focus on chemicals when you go into the school. And I'm like, okay, they said just take the classes on chemicals. However, I was like, well, now that I got the chance to really do the program from the beginning to the end, let me just do the whole program. Why not? So I took the chemical classes, but I also took all the nail classes, all the aesthetic classes, and all the hair classes also, and all the theory classes. But for chemicals, I took, so like for that class, it would have been curly hair. I took that class, which had, that class is curly hair. I don't know the number of it, but it's curly hair, and it basically teaches relaxers. It teaches soft perms, and it also teaches like pressing curls, flat irons, and stuff like that on curly hair. That would have been a class for that client. And I did take that class. And then the other class would have been the class that I took on perms. The other chemical class would have been the one on perms. And then those are the only two. There's hair coloring and stuff like that, but I mean, I did take that, but that's not, those are chemical classes, but I've never had an issue with hair color. So, but for that specific client, it would have been the curly hair class and then the class that I took on perms.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Crawford, do you have any further questions of Ms. Johnson?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, do any board members have any follow-up questions? Yes, please.
Hi, it's Board Member Lomeli again. Just a clarification question. When I asked about the associate's degrees that Ms. Parker from Next Up referenced in the letter of recommendation, she said one associate of arts, one associate of science, and you said you have a business degree, a film behavior science degree, and a Cosmo degree. So just to clarify, because she only stated 2 degrees, which degrees is it that you've been awarded? Which one is the Associate of Arts and which one is the Associate of Science?
I think because I have to really look at it. I mean, honestly, I'll get an email and she'll say, we reevaluated you again and we've awarded you another certificate or degree. But I think that it is the business and the social and behavioral sciences. Those are the ones I did before cosmetology. The cosmetology is the very last one that should have posted on my degree as a degree, which I believe it is a science, if I'm not mistaken, it's a science degree. It's a science degree. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any
I have a
other?
question.
Yes, please.
Initially, you sent the daughter home and told them 24 hours before washing out the keratin that you put in their hair. How did you come to the decision to tell them it would be left in for 24 hours? And then what would you do differently now that you have more training under you?
Well, during that time, honestly, it's very hard for me to recall anything that was said or anything that happened during that time because I just wasn't mentally focused and saying the right things and making the right decisions during that time. So I can't really, say what would have happened then or what could have happened then. But I know that today, I would have never even performed that service because it's not even under my scope of practice, number one. Number two, it's just a lot of things that would have never been said or done or anything like that. Uh, so, but during that time, I just can't recall everything that had happened. I just can't.
Okay, thank you.
This is Tanya Fairley again. I just want to clear up some wording that you keep repeating and keep using, and you keep referring to chemical service straighteners, Brazilian blowouts, not being under the scope of practice of a licensed cosmetologist, and actually it is. As a licensed cosmetologist, you are allowed to perform those services. It is not the school's responsibility to give you additional education on the manufacturers that come out with different types of products. It's the job of the cosmetologist to get the additional education, to obtain the certifications, and to understand the process and procedures of all services performed that you are charging a client for. So I just want to get clarity because you keep referring to the word scope of practice. Sounds like to me that you really need to understand what actually that means for a licensed cosmetologist.
Well, they sent me my scope of practice after being in court, and it did not state a Brazilian blowout. It had relaxers, it had perms, it had soft perms, but it did not say anywhere on there a Brazilian blowout. However, I am fully aware that as a licensed cosmetologist that we can perform services that is not stated or trained for in school as long as we get those trainings outside of the school. I am fully aware of that. Just like you can perform microblading brows. It's not taught in school, but if you get the trainings outside of school, you can. When I'm speaking about the scope of practice, to be a little bit more specific, I'm talking about the services that are being taught in school. Brazilian blowout is not one of those services that are being taught in school, unfortunately. However, yes, we can still perform them if we get the right trainings outside, and it is our responsibility to get that training. But what's taught in school are relaxers, perms, soft perms. I consider that to be under the scope of practice for cosmetology. However, if you want to go outside and get training and get education, then go ahead on.
I have another question.
Member Munoz?
And I heard earlier, you referenced, again, this pattern, like you don't remember what happened with the case because it was a long time ago. And I think we were getting to this in another question. This is really important. The fact that you said it again also where you want to go out on your own, that would be one of your first steps after this. But you were out of school, fresh out of school for 2 years, and then did a chemical treatment on a 7-year-old and told her to have it in for 24 hours. And you've now been out of the practice for over 10 years. So the fact that you have a thought to just go out on your own and you don't need supervision, that's really important to me, what you're saying.
Well,
And I'm just wondering if you would be open, the question is, would you be open to working somewhere where you did have teammates so that your first few years, if you got this approved, if the first few years were important to you and your success was important, would you be open to going somewhere where you are around other practicing cosmetologists?
Well, I think a lot of people misconstrue suites as being in your own salon by yourself. I was trying to explain that earlier when one of the members, I don't remember what happened, but when I was in my private suite, there is other professionals there, and there is someone who runs the suite who is fully aware of everything with the state board, who does monitor you. It's not like you're by yourself in your own salon by yourself. There's other professionals around you. There's also someone who manages the suites. So you do have support and you do have people that is over you. I was trying to explain that earlier, but I don't remember what happened.
Amelia, in first person, not third, in first
Okay.
person, how important is it for you to have a community around you when you start practicing? So your first few years, if this was approved, walk me through what that would look like for your accountability, first person, from your perspective. Don't explain in third person how things work. This is about you.
For me, I feel like it's very important for me to have support in every area. When it comes to cosmetology, it's very important for me to be around people that support me. And it's very important for me to have people that I can go to if I feel like I need some help, if I just don't know. Um, that is why most of my teachers at Santa Monica College stay in communication with us on a daily basis, just in case we have a question or just in case something goes wrong. We can get on a Zoom, just like how me and you are on Zoom discussing this matter. I can do the same thing with any one of my teachers at any time. If I need to call them, I can call them. That's what the teachers are there for. That's what the school is there for. So if I ever needed that support, then I do have that support always. You know, if you're trying to insinuate that it's better for me to work in a salon where it's someone monitoring me, I really don't feel like that's something that I need at this point. However, to say that I haven't practiced this for 10 years is not correct, because even though I haven't practiced it in a real salon, I have worked at the school salon where we clock in and clock out and perform services for the past 6 years.
Okay, I think you answered my question. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, any further questions from the board members? All right, Ms. Crawford, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So Ms. Johnson, the board will now go into closed session to deliberate on your petition. You'll be informed of the board's decision on a date in the future, okay?
Okay, cool. So would you guys send it in the mail?
You'll be notified probably in the mail and potentially electronically as well.
Okay.
All right? With
Okay, that works.
all right, thank you. With that, the matter is submitted, the record is closed, and we are off the record at 11:18.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Crawford. And Ms. Parkinson, our page count?
So we're now going to go into closed session. So we're going to have to ask everyone to please exit in 30 minutes. Board, Sabina, 30 minutes, probably less. Okay, thank you.
52.
You guys want to take a quick break though? Let's give us a quick break. Good morning again. Or is it still morning? It is morning. Thank you everyone for joining us here in person and those listening online. Please note that public comments will be limited to 3 minutes and the board will not be able to respond to any comments. We're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. Do we have to redo this again? Roll. Sabina said it would be nice. So we're going to turn it over to Monica, and can you please call roll?
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Present.
Present.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Present.
Sonar Lamelli,
Present.
Tamika Miller,
Present.
Callie Mayfam,
Present.
Steve Weeks,
Present.
Michelle Edgar, and Megan Ellis are still absent, and we have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 4, board member updates. Chrissy?
Just if anybody has anything, just if anyone has anyone they want to add to start us off.
No? All right. Then go ahead and move on to agenda item number 5. I would like to welcome Judy Busirelli as she will be providing the update for today's meeting. Did I butcher your name? Oh, man. Bucciarelli, okay.
Well, good morning, board members. Again, my name is Judy Bucciarelli from the California Department of Consumer Affairs Board and Bureau Relations. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to provide the DCA update today. And it will be very brief. First, note on annual form 700, DCA would like to thank board members for completing their annual form 700 submissions, which were due on April 1st. As a reminder, all new board members must file a form 700 with the Fair Political Practices Commission 30 days after their appointment and annually on April 1st of every year thereafter. Additionally, board members must file a Form 700 leaving office statement within 30 days of leaving the board. We appreciate board members' commitment to this important disclosure that provides transparency and accountability to the public. Next, we are excited to share that this spring, DCA relaunched the Enforcement Academy training program, which had not been held since the COVID-19 pandemic. This 4-day training program offered DCA board and bureau enforcement staff an overview of the enforcement process, investigations, complaint intake, and formal discipline, as well as learn best practices and to make connections with other programs. Our March session included staff participation from over 20 different boards and bureaus, and we are planning additional academies in August and November of this year. Next, DCA's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Executive Steering Committee recently selected 15 employees from throughout DCA to participate as members of the inaugural DEI subcommittee. This subcommittee will meet bi-monthly to develop and implement multiple initiatives and goals to promote positive organizational impact. The first meeting of the subcommittee is scheduled for July 31st, and we will continue to highlight their milestones and accomplishment. And finally, we also wanted to remind board members about the upcoming reorganization of DCA's oversight agency. On July 1, the Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency will be split into 2 new separate entities, the California Housing and Homelessness Agency and the Business and Consumer Services Agency. The new Business and Consumer Services Agency will be responsible for consumer affairs, licensing, and enforcement, and the Department of Consumer Affairs, which will be among 8 departments. DCA continues to participate in multiple work groups on the logistics required to transition to the new agency and will continue to keep board leadership apprised. And this concludes the DCA update for today, and I'll turn the floor back to President Fairley, and I welcome any questions from the board.
Thank you so much, Julie. Do any of the board members have any questions? No questions? I will now open up to public comment. Again, moderator, just a reminder, comments are limited to 3 minutes. And there's no one inside, so go ahead online.
Thank you so much. If any member of the public would like to comment on this agenda item, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, I do see one raised hand from the number 3233. So in a moment, 3233, go ahead and click on the prompt to unmute. All right, we'll try that one more time. And I believe to unmute you would press *6. There you go, you're unmuted.
Okay. Hello. My name is Kaida Roberson. I've been online listening. I was supposed to come before you guys earlier. I had a hard time getting on the web place, and for some reason I had a hard time getting
Sorry.
on. Yeah.
We're
Hello.
going to need you to wait. This is public comment on the agenda item that was just
Mhm.
discussed.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
And this is the moderator. I see no further requests for comment. I return the floor to you.
Thank you so much, moderator. That will be all. Thank you so much, Judy.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Moving on to agenda item number 6. Review, discussion, and possible action to approve board members to standing committees for 2026. And I'm going to give this to Christy.
All right, thank you. So in your packets, we have a description of what each of our committees is responsible for. As most of you know, we have committees, but our committees do not regularly meet. It's, I think, one of the benefits of this board that you collaborate all so well together that the items can come just straight to you for collaboration. So at this time, we do not have any committee meetings planned. However, we will be having a health and safety committee meeting this year. We're looking at maybe October of this year, health and safety. We're also likely going to have a couple of apprentice program appeals. We anticipate this year we would have that. So what we've done to sort of streamline this process is we took a look, and most of you have seen this because I sent it out to you ahead of time, and we placed you on committee meetings. We always check with all of you first if you're available, if we need to have these committee meetings. So if everybody is okay with the assignments that we have pre-selected you for, or you've let us know that you'd like to stay on the committees that you were on, all we would need is a motion to approve the committee roster for the board's standing committees. Yes.
My understanding that San Diego is a hotbed of San Diego is a hotbed of licensing and examination problems. So I would volunteer for our committee to meet in San Diego.
Okay.
Preferably in Old Town.
I'm good.
A motion?
This is member Callie Mae Pham. I move to approve the attached committee roster for the board's standing committees.
I second.
Public comment?
Any public comment inside? No public comment inside. Moderator, open for public comments online. Just a reminder, public comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Board President. If any member of the public would like to comment on this agenda item, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, I see no raised hands. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. There you go. At this time, we're going to go to Monica for a vote.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Harris,
Yes.
Melly,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Callie Mae Pham,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to go ahead and move to agenda item number 7, discussion and possible action to approve the February 23rd board meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the February 23rd, 2026 board meeting minutes?
I motion to approve.
I second.
I will now open up for public comments inside. No public comments. Moderator, go ahead and open online for public comments.
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 7, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. I see no raised hands. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you, moderator. Monica, please call for a vote.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez.
Yes.
Sonar Lamelli,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Hallie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Monica. Moving on to agenda item number 9, turning this over to Christy.
Oh, we forgot number 8.
Okay, I take that back. Agenda item number 8. Wait, agenda,
Board meetings. We had 2 meetings since the last, and now we have to.
oh, we
approve the
did. We
April.
have another one. Approve the minutes for the April 6th meeting. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
I second.
No inside public comments. Moderator, we're going to turn it over to online.
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 8, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. I see no raised hands. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you, moderator. Monica, please call for a vote.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Sonar Lamelli,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Hallie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Monica. Now moving on to agenda item number 9, I will turn it over to Christy.
All right. We will start with your board packets under item number 9, page 1. We start with our admin and operations report. We currently have 7 positions allocated to this with 1 vacancy. We've provided just some update information in here. The Department of Consumer Affairs Office of Human Resources launched our anonymous hiring initiative. It's just it's to implement the governor's executive order where we just recruit people in a different manner than what we used to. Basically, doesn't display any identifiable information on the applications. Staff training in this last quarter, we did improving your time management skills as part of our quarterly training plan. We'll go straight into page 2 and 3. Page 2 is our projected our budget projection report. So it shows our projected year-end balance with us ending with a little over $400,000, which is great.
Just 2 quick questions.
Uh-huh.
On item number 5100, apparently we have about $600,000 still budgeted to spend on salaries. How many positions are open now?
You know, it's so different all the time at any given moment. We have, I think, 7 positions vacant in our enforcement unit right now, and that's where the bulk of it is. And some positions are harder to fill. So at the time of this report, it might be different than what we have right now. But yet that's the difference. It's because of salary savings in a sense of positions that might not need to be filled at this point. We have 1 position in our licensing unit that we're not actively recruiting for. We have a couple inspector positions that are vacant that are very hard to fill. So that is why we don't use our entire allotment.
If the allotment's there, does the allotment automatically roll over?
No, I don't.
Starts at zero-based budgeting all over again?
No, no one knows that question. I
Close
don't
enough.
believe that the allotment rolls over for.
Okay, so it's all new, okay. And the other on consultant and professional fees, item 53404, we have a over allotment there of $800,000. That's the opposite of the other side of it. We were expected to spend $2.6 million. We were allotted 1.7 million. We are projected to spend 2.6 million. So we're about 800 over. That's a huge amount, is that, especially in a month left. Is that first?
You mean the 822,000 that we're over?
Yes.
Consultant and professional services is usually our PSI, I believe. So we always project a little higher. That might not, we probably won't meet it to that, but that's what we project out based on volume.
They do the projection.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all.
All right, and then on page 3 is our fund condition, which is straight from the governor's budget. So that's all set in stone, doesn't change. We will move on to page 4, which is our licensing, examinations and disciplinary review appeals unit. So on this, we show that we have 2 vacant positions. On April 1st, Angela Hoffman, who's in the back. Hi. Angela Hoffman joined our team, and she's still with us in May, so that's a good sign. She's one of our new managers next to Alex, who you all know. And so Angela is our newest manager with our licensing unit. And then we also are recruiting for a program technician and seasonal clerk. We also developed a process improvement that we wanted to share. We switched from a multi-foldable renewal notice to just a renewal. I think we were one of the last boards in the department to make that change. So now as a renewal, you will get a postcard to remind you to renew, as opposed to that long piece of paper. So we're hoping it actually encourages more online payments, because those are so quick and almost instant, as opposed to a written check.
So question, in the mailers that go out, it's always the checklist of what to do and to make sure that, so how are those?
So that's with your license. That
Oh.
didn't change. This is just your renewal notice. Just a reminder
Okay.
saying it goes out, what, 65 days?
83 days.
83 days in advance. You'll get a postcard saying time to renew.
Okay.
And that's going to save us about $121,000 annually. So again, the entire state is looking at ways where we can shrink our expenditures, and that was one way we thought we could do that. Good. Now we go into our examination pass rates. So we're providing our quarter 2 and quarter 3 pass rates on this page. If you go to the next page, we're on page 5 now. Emails, we still receive about 264 emails a day, and it takes us 1 to 2 business days to respond. Our applications, we received a little over 14,000 applications during the third quarter of 25-26, and that was about 5.9% over the second quarter. So we increased in our applications. We usually have around 1,100 pending applications a day. Weekends are always a little bit harder because people apply online. I think I looked this morning, it was around 1,300 pending applications to start our week. Establishment applications received, establishment. So we just put out your chart for how many establishments we process and receive. Licenses issued, the board issued 7,718 licenses during the third quarter of 25-26. That increased slightly by 1.5%. And our current population is sitting at 669,894 licenses. Page 6 is just our detailed breakdown of all of our applications received. Page 7, we go into our pass-fail rates. We're going to talk about the changes in the exam in the next agenda item, but we will likely see some pass rates dip a little bit because of the exams have been updated now. I will tell you that I just compared our month. We started the new exam on what month?
April 1st.
April 1st. And I just compared April's full month to these numbers, and they're actually either right on track or even a little bit higher. So that's good news. Going on to page 8, again, it just continues. Then we break down in the middle of your page. You can see that we are talking about written exams by educational background. We start with the apprentice program and then our out of country. And then at the top of page 9 is our schools program. We have a little error on this page because on page 9, after that first section at the top of school program, the header got left out. So we start right after that first table where it says first time test takers and it starts with Barber. That is a breakdown starting right there of the language that the exam was taken in. So it starts off with the apprentice. So we have the barber and the cosmetologist.
Where are you reading at?
So on page 9, you have a top, it says written results school program. And the first table So right after that first table, right here, there should have been a header
Oh, okay,
that
okay.
said apprentice program
Oh, okay,
by
okay.
language. So we apologize for that mistake, but so those are the barber and the cosmetologist. Those are our two apprentice programs broken down by language. You can see, of course, our Spanish pass rates continue to be low, which we've talked about immensely. Then we have our out-of-state, out-of-country schools. And again, those pass rates continue to be low as well. And then moving on to the next page 10, that continues with our out-of-state, out-of-country by license type and by language. And then on page 11 is where we start with our school programs. So you can see that overall, other than the Spanish pass rates, the school programs tend to have a higher pass rate than out-of-country or the apprenticeship program, which is what we've seen historically at the board. Any questions so far? All right, moving to page 12, we have our licenses issued, and there you can see each quarter what we issue by license type. And then you can see the second chart shows the fiscal year by license type.
Chrissy, I'm sorry, can we go back really quick? I
Sure.
was trying to look at these comparisons. Actually, it looks like if you look at the apprentice program by language, the Spanish pass rate is 38%. And then if you look at the schools, it's at 38%. So they're pretty much,
I think one of the things, are you looking at Cosmo or Barber?
well, if I go to Barber and then even I look at Cosmo, it's 35%. And then if you go to Cosmo on this, it's 35%. So
You're right, those are very similar.
yeah, this is the first time I've seen it, this comparison, this actually, even though the rates are low, they are probably more in alignment with one another versus it being a drastic difference with the apprenticeship program.
Right. I'm going to just say that we need to double check these numbers.
Yes,
Because I don't believe they're
it out.
I apologize for that. Okay, moving on to page 12 is our licenses issued. Oh, and we talked about that. And page 13 is our total population by license type. So you can see where each of those numbers fall. Then on page 14, 15, and 16 is our survey that we take at any time someone renews. The survey's on our, their link is on our Breeze system, so it shouldn't be impacted by the renewal or the postcard. People will still hopefully go on to Breeze to renew. People, if they might be listening, going on to Breeze and renewing, get your license renewed in the matter of days, as opposed to if you mail it in, you're looking at several weeks. And this is we're required by law to ask these questions. It asks who is an independent contractor, who's full-time in California, and the type of structure your establishment is. Questions? Moving on to DRC on page 17. Again, these reports are done in a moment of time. So since this report was done, we have had a hearing. So at the very bottom of page 17, it shows pending 147 South. We do not have that many pending anymore. As of, and then we listed on as of 8/5/1 what we have. I actually looked at it just this morning. As of today, we have 65 in South, and that's between LA and San Diego, and 32 here in North. And so we're working on getting those scheduled, teamed up to our next board meeting. So since they're so small, they're probably just half-day hearings at this point. So hopefully we can just bump those up to board meetings, and it would be a little more cost-effective for us.
That makes so much more sense anyway.
All right, on page 18, we have our enforcement, inspections, and citation and fine. Here's where we show we have 8 vacant positions. I believe we've actually filled a couple of these, or in the process of filling a couple of them. So 8 is a high number. It's actually less than that now. Showing our complaints received, this last quarter is 1,732 complaints received. On page 19, we talk about the types of complaints we've. Okay. We talk about the Attorney General's office data. The board referred 33 cases to the Attorney General's office in the third quarter of fiscal year 25-26. And then we've also provided information on probation cases. Page 20 and 21 and 22 are our detailed enforcement statistics, and on page 23. I don't want to read them all off to you. Go ahead and take a look. If you have any questions. Moving to page 24, we talk about our request for payment notices. Sure.
On payment plans. At one point, we have turned over X amount of money to outside collection agencies when we can no longer send notices and have money come easily on that. Are we turning that over to the private agencies so they collect the entire amount of money and keep the entire amount, or do they split what's collected back with the board?
I will turn to Carrie for that answer.
So the way the contract's set up is that the collection agencies charge us a fee, like a flat rate, like, I'm not sure exactly, but I'm gonna use 10% as an example. So they will collect the entire amount or whatever the respondent is going to give at the time. They will submit that entire payment to the board, and then they invoice us for the 10% or whatever their charge is.
So they're only collecting, on what they collect, they're only earning 10% of that.
I just use that as an example. I don't know the exact number.
That's really low.
Yeah, I don't know what
It's
the exact
50,
number is,
yeah,
yes. But yes, they
Okay,
charge,
so
they
there is a
invoice.
percentage basis work on
Yes,
this.
so that the respondent's record shows that they have paid in full.
Right,
And then we get an invoice separately for the services.
got you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But do we go against credit bureaus? Do we report to credit bureaus?
I'm not sure if the collection agency does or not.
Probably
They
would.
probably do, but we'll get back.
We
to you
don't on
that.
ours, though. If
Uh,
they show delinquency where we have to turn it over collection, we're not showing that it's a delinquent contract on their bureau report.
We don't know.
Okay.
All right, we move on to page 25, and that is our payment plans. So this is when somebody calls us, their citation is over $500 and how many times payment plans are requested and developed. So we had, in the last quarter, we had 60 requested, 42 were developed, 4 were paid in full, and 44 were canceled. If they do not comply with their payment plan, they get canceled. Questions? All right, moving on to page 26 is our outreach update. We did have a few events in this last quarter. We did a resource fair at the Mexican Consulate on February 25th, 2026. We had a town hall meeting with schools on April 13th. And we did the California Municipal Revenue and Tax Association on April 22nd. That first one and that second one were both done by our supervising special investigator, Christian Gutierrez, and the middle one, of course, was virtual, so we were all on it. And then we've also provided a list of all of the listservs that we had sent out. And then, of course, our social media continues to grow thanks to Monica and Miranda from DRC, who do a great job on that. If you're not looking, we encourage you to look. Moving on to our strategic plan update. We are in the final year of our strategic plan, so we will be reaching out soon to talk about developing. It goes through 2027, but we'll want to start later this year of developing a new strategic plan. And so probably at the next board meeting, we'll give a more in-depth review. We give what's pending or what's been on hold. We'll probably put together for the next board meeting what we actually accomplished in our current strategic plan and what probably needs to be carried over to the next strategic plan. And that is my report.
Thank you, Christine. Does anyone have any questions?
How did the town halls go?
They went great. We ended up actually, we had a town hall with schools because we wanted to really put together a lot of information because we get a lot of the same questions. So Michelle Dolan, who's our schools analyst, did a fabulous presentation to schools. We did also have a PSI town hall meeting, which where we talked about the changes to the exam. Neither were as attended as we would have hoped. So that's unfortunate because we did advertise them quite a lot. We sent lots of emails letting schools know that we were having both of these town halls. And we did get some participation by all means. We would have liked to have seen more, but other than that, the information was well received. Did not have very many questions about the actual content of what the presentations were on.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe we have those online. Is that right?
We have the slides online under schools information tab.
Okay, so we've posted our presentation that our school analysts did, and so those are always available for schools to watch.
And I have one more question about, maybe this is just for my curiosity, but inspection results. Is there a formula to why, like, we had 13,000 in 23, 24, and then it went down to 8, and then maybe by April, May, June, we'll be on track to do what, another
What?
3,000 on page 24, the inspection results? I just had a question how that works. Like, should we be aiming for like similar numbers every year, or is that normal for them to vary that much?
They vary a lot, and it could be lots of things. There could be inspectors out. We do have a couple of inspectors out right now. We have more vacancies than we had probably before, so it has to do with that. We are also implementing several new process improvements for our inspectors. There's a lot of security we're trying to increase for the safety of our staff. And so all of that takes a little bit more time, not to mention we're still implementing MIP, the electronic version, which helps us really on the back end for issuing citations. We issue citations in 1 to 2 days. But on the front end, it's definitely a learning curve still. So we'll see them stable out eventually, but again, it always also depends on staff.
Okay, great, thanks.
Questions?
Christy, you mentioned that everyone's still being trained on the iPads and there's a learning curve for that. Are the inspectors, or do you expect the inspectors to be able to conduct more inspections once they're fully trained at all, or no?
They're fully trained. The issues aren't really the inspectors. It's usually the back end database connecting and talking to each other. So it's more of a technical, like IT issue that get lots of bumps that we're still trying to work out. There's inspectors that have had no dips in the number of inspections that they do. So that also, keep in mind that we've had some inspectors who've been with us for a very, very long time and have been paper pencil for that entire time. So to change from that type of your everyday work to an electronic is also a transition. They've all transitioned well. It's more so the back office talking of databases to each other where we have glitches.
Got it.
Are there any other questions? Oh, Carrie, go. You look like you're about to ask a question.
Well, I just was going to say we do have some fixes that are going in for our MIP. They're going to a new iOS native application that we're hoping will help with the communication between the iPads and the back office. So we'll have less inspection results that are getting like caught between the two. So we're really hopeful that that improvement is going to improve our productivity in that manner. Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move to
comment.
We're going to move to public comment. No inside public comment. Moderator, open up to online public comments. Just a reminder that public comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Board President. If any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 9, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, I see no raised hands. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you, moderator. Moving on to agenda item 10, discussion on updates to the barber, cosmetologist, electrologist, esthetician, manicurist licensing exam. I will turn the meeting back over to Christy.
All right, so basically every exam got updated other than hairstylist because hairstylist is a California specific developed by the Department of Consumer Affairs with us. This is a regular occurrence for examinations. It's based on current occupational analysis that the psychometricians do for PSI, and the content has changed a little bit. So this is what we had our first town hall on to, and we actually had PSI speaking during this meeting to explain exactly the differences that are occurring in the April 1st new exams. So you can see what we've added here is the content area and then the comparison for for 2020. So basically prior to this exam being implemented on April 1st, they were everybody was taking an exam that was developed prior to 2020. And so you can see that the content areas have shifted slightly. For some of them, it's not a lot, but for others, it's because during that occupational analysis where they hold multiple workshops with licensees to figure out like how much you spend on this each day. That's how the content gets developed. So here we've explained what the content is, the breakdown is, and we've done a comparison for each of our exam license types from the prior content to the new content. And this went into way more depth at the town hall meeting with PSI. And then we've also, whenever you update new exams, you also go through the process of updating the passing percentage. And basically the cut score. So not to be confused with pass fail rates that we talked about earlier. This is what you need to get on a scaled score to pass the examination. So you can see that the cosmetologist went from 73% to 70, the barber went from 70 to 66, and so on. And so it's based on the examination development with the psychometricians who are exam developers. This is the cut scales that they've come up with.
Christine?
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
So on the first page here this is the barber examination and then broke down by the Cosmo examination. This is the percentage of questions that are entailed into the test?
It's the percentage of content.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you look at the candidate information bulletins, which we link on our website to PSI, it's going to show you much more information. Like it's going to say safety and infection control such as, and it's going to go into the content area. So it's really a good tool for schools to be looking at on how they set up their curriculum. The curriculum's the curriculum, right? But now they're going to be able to see that 31% should be concentrating on safety and infection control.
Okay. My next question is, where did I have it at? Oh no, never mind. Okay.
Okay. Speaking of examinations, but beyond examinations and looking in the whole broad context of the operations and how we operate as a board, are we utilizing AI, and how are we utilizing AI to seek improvements, efficiency inside our operations?
Maybe. We do have, DCA has advised us that the one AI we can use, is it Google Copilot?
Copilot, yes.
'Cause
Copilot.
I'll be honest, I don't use it. But so it's limited, but we are starting to see that come a little more into our everyday business. I think our biggest user here is Allison, who is like, Allison, how many states have this? And AI helps her greatly. So we do use it like for research,
Yes.
but so far not so much on any data or any type of reporting.
I know. I mean, I have a brother-in-law
Yeah.
that in interviewing for jobs right now, he had 5 interviews, and 4 out of the 5 interviews were entirely done by AI.
Wow.
I mean, it's really taking over, and I don't know the state's position on this at all, whether they think that's an interference with the labor market or, but it just seems it's so efficient to use when we can use it.
Mhm. There's definitely been some benefits. I can say Allison's our guru for that. she's been our main go-to for use of it. We haven't really used it in any other areas, nor have we been given any direction from like higher control agencies to use it for different things.
Sure, we'll see
I'm
more.
sure it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Any comments or questions from the board? Okay.
I have a question. I don't know if this is off topic, but we did discontinue hairstyling or hairstylist license, right?
No, it's not just, it still exists. It's tiny little baby license. But we developed that ourselves. That's why it's not addressed in this memo.
Okay, that was my question. I didn't see it. Okay.
Okay, now we're open to public comment. Any comment on this agenda item? Nope. Moderator, we are opening online for public comment only on agenda item number 10, right? Yeah, agenda item number 10 and limited to 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name or pressing *3 if you've called in. We'll give you a moment. I see no raised hands. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you, moderator. Moving on to agenda item number 11, turning it back over to Christy.
All right, this is our discussion on proposed legislation, our proposed bills. We have two bills that we're going to be talking about today. One very big bill that I hope we're happy with. But the first one we're going to start with is AB 2771. This was the Committee on Business and Professions. This is the BPPE, Bureau for Private Post-Secondary Sunset Bill. This is a very large bill and it has a lot of items in it that have absolutely nothing to do with us. But this, and we have nothing to implement on this bill. However, there's one section in this bill that we have included, and if you look at page 3, we placed it here in blue. And this is, it is a they have added to their language that it is a violation to withhold documentation required pursuant to Section 909 of Title 16 of the California Code of Regulations because the student owes a debt or as a tool for debt collection. So Section 909 does one thing and one thing only, and it defines the proof of training for our licensees. It's already in BPPE laws that you cannot withhold transcripts. So transcripts can't be withheld for a fee that's due for any reason at all. If a student leaves school, they have to get a copy of their transcripts. And so this is making the POT fall into that same line because people will complain to the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary that they aren't able to get a POT when they've left or completed if they happen to owe on their tuition.
So I have a question because I need clarity on that part. Would this be, I guess this would fall back on the school, how they write their contract, meaning if the student is part of their, how do they get their certificate of training? How do they complete the school's program, right? So if part of the completion of the school program is your fees have to be paid, how is this enforceable outside of that?
So it doesn't necessarily, it wouldn't be regarding a completion necessarily. So if I'm in school and I only did 6 months of training, I'm entitled to a POT. That's what this is saying. Doesn't have anything to do with completion.
Okay. Because I don't read that as this. It says code or withhold documentation required. So should it not say proof of training?
Well, they just referenced 909, which
Okay.
reference proof of training. So it's basically if a student owes a debt or as a tool for debt collection to withhold their POT.
I'm sympathetic to the fact that a school needs and wants to get paid. But at the same time, doesn't this really go against the California code as it relates to what you can withhold from a student that has taken the courses and graduated?
I mean, it's not our law, so I'm not super familiar with the education code or BPPE's business and professions, but I do know that if a student in a school, a private school, a community college leaves, you have to give them transcripts
Right.
by law. So this is just mirroring the POT with that,
So wouldn't it be natural to support that?
expanding that law to include POT.
But
Right,
proof
so-
of training and transcript and certificate of completion are 3 different or only 2 different items?
I would, they're, the proof of training is a 100% a Barber Cosmo form of this board that was created long before I've been around for them to show proof of completion, right? That they graduated. Because you can't qualify for the exam if you haven't graduated. So we're only looking at the proof of training if you completed your course. And then, of course, if you're, the proof of training has a back page to it where you can say, because hours are transferable as well from school to school. So you can train, then the school would have to list how many hours are transferable. In all fairness, or not in all fairness, but other states don't have proof of trainings, but at cosmetology boards, they have transcripts. They just submit transcripts. Had we just accepted transcripts, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all, because somewhere along the line, we created the proof of training form. That's just a form filled out by the school for purposes of qualifying to take the exam. But you can't qualify to take the exam unless you've 100% completed your course. Now, could the school, this is just saying that a school cannot withhold that proof of training because they owe money for whatever reason, have a debt. There's other ways that schools would need to collect that debt from a student.
This is Member Pham. I just wanted to respond to Member Weeks's question. I think your question was, why wouldn't we support? This is just an excerpt of a bigger act, and so we're just seeing one portion of it. So if we were to support, we would be speaking about the entire thing, and that's not what we're doing. This is just this little part of it that affects us, and that's why we're watching, because we don't want to sign off on the entire thing that doesn't have anything to do with us.
Thank you for that. Yes. And yes, we're recommending a watch position because this is such a large bill that has so much that has nothing to do with how we operate our board.
And then
They withhold document the POT to the student, but if it was requested by us directly from the school, would it also be withheld from us? I mean, right now, we're going through the student to get that in order to qualify for the examination.
So the
Is there
student
a
is
get
who
around that we could
applies.
give directly to the school?
We wouldn't, or else we'd be going to lots of schools. It's the student's responsibility to complete their application, and the law says you have to attach the proof of training to the application. Now, there are some very good schools that help their students out and do that process for them. But that's the student's application. They're the ones paying the fee. They're the ones filling it out and signing under penalty of perjury. They have to attach their proof of training.
Gotcha.
And for us, I mean, we're just mostly focused on consumer safety. So we just need to see that they've done the training and that they can apply it from the scope of safety, whether or not they have a debt to the school that's outside our interest anyway.
Right.
Right. So
And we don't get involved with student tuition, with student contracts, with
in fact,
student catalogs, how
maybe once they start working, then they can get the money to pay their debt, but that's beyond us, right? Yeah.
Right.
I see that this is just extending the POT to be looked at like a transcript.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. So current law requires a
Right.
transcript no matter what, and this just includes it.
I agree to watch.
Do I need a, no, I don't need a motion for that. So I'm going to just go ahead and go into the next bill, and then we can, we'll open it up for public comment after that. So our next bill is our sunset bill. This is SB 1363. This is a result of our sunset report and our sunset hearing. I thought the easiest way to do this was to just number out all the changes and put it bluntly to all of this. I'm not going to go over this verbatim. I can tell you one of the most important things is it extends our existence to 2031. So we got our sunset extension, which is fabulous. But and then we also got some things that we've been working on for a very long time. It got us to allow LLCs as an establishment owner. It clarifies that an establishment owner can be the licensee in charge. That's how we've always operated. So we're just clean that up in a statute. And then we also have clarified that the board issues licenses to federally recognized tribes as described. And again, no implementation for that. We already do that. It just has a different impact for when we might do enforcement. We already follow those rules for establishments that happen to be on a recognized tribal land. And then we go into our apprenticeship program.
That number 9 and number 10.
So we have a lot of changes drafted, or not drafted, but in this legislation that we definitely celebrated for in the office. It's a huge improvement for how we will monitor the the apprentice program, because I can tell you as of today, it has not gotten better, even though we've already taken major steps in enforcing what we can. But this is just truly going to be a game changer for the apprenticeship program. Some key points, really, my biggest thing is not allowing people to franchise out their approvals anymore, which continues on a daily basis. We can't keep up with actually the workload right now within our investigations going into. All of a sudden, a salon pops up and says they're an apprenticeship program or a training facility, and it just causes so much work. So that's going to be eliminated. It is going to allow us to charge a fee to the apprenticeship programs, and they're going to have to renew. This is obviously very big for us because we are pulling our staff from other areas to handle the workload that's been created by the apprenticeship programs. So very big news. I do think there is more that we could put and more that we asked for, obviously, in sunset. This bill has passed out of the Senate Business and Professions and the Senate Appropriations Committee. It will head eventually to the Assembly side. It's a long process still. We're only in May. We're still, I think we'll see some changes. Well, hopefully some more improvements. I found some things with the apprentice that, like we might need to tweak a little bit. So I'm working with the legislative staff on that. But I would say it's one of our most successful bills we've gotten probably in my time being with the board. So
let me just say that, first of all, I'm excited about this. You guys know, like, this was my baby with Christy. We started on two totally opposite ends of what this apprenticeship program looked like, and to see her work and dedication to bridging the gap and just in general was just amazing work. And thank you, I appreciate it. But I'm going to point out a couple of things because I think this is important, because what you guys may not understand is a lot of the problems that we were having with the apprenticeship program wasn't really even just the sponsors. It was with the LEAs. It was with the people who are making the apprenticeships happen. And if you guys look at number 10 and number 9 and number 10, it says states that only one LEA can be associated with a single program sponsor. And number 10, that the LEA must be in the same geographical area as the program sponsor. We had LEAs that were up north that had programs in San Diego. Like, make it make sense, right? So these small little things are getting back to a place to where it's under control, easier to monitor. And as Chrissy said, there's still a lot of things. I just sent her some from a program and she was like, where is this coming from? But the point is that more people are aware that the apprenticeship program has checks and balances and how things are supposed to run. So that part was really, really good. And then the last one I wanted to point out is number 15. Clarifies that the board can revoke, suspend, or deny a program sponsor's approval in a proceeding conduct in accordance with the governmental code, because we had no control over that. And now, like, it's giving us back what we need to make the program a successful program. So again, thank you, congratulations. Yes, I'm excited, so.
And just to piggyback on that, you know, we have the Apprentice Appeal Committee that is this members of the board are, and this will allow us to not have that committee, even though you all who served on that did a wonderful, fabulous job. But it really should be treated the same way our licensees are treated. So we would go to it, we would file an accusation with the Attorney General's office and process it. And again, it makes it so that it's processed by a third party, in a sense, the Attorney General's office, as opposed to our board members having to like be the judge and the jury and make all of those decisions solely here. So to me, that's a much better process, a little bit more expensive, but worth it, in my opinion. The Attorney General's office should handle, because we had to bring them in and we didn't have to ask them to help us. For those of you that attended the Apprentice Committee, we did have an Attorney General and we did have an ALJ, but that wasn't required. That was just, we asked them to do that because we thought it was a better way to handle the process. So now they'll get a formal accusation like an establishment or a licensee who would receive.
Will DRC continue to be an appeal source for apprentice changes?
Yeah, no changes to DRC at all. And I did also want to say just one thing in talking about some of the LEAs. I want to say like Los Angeles Unified School District has been a great partner of ours. They've really helped answer my emails that I'm like, well, what do you think about this? And so they have definitely, and they're our second largest LEA. So they've really embraced what we wanted to do and helped us along the way as well. So they've been a great partner in trying to develop some of this language as well. I'm sorry?
LAUSD.
It's the, yeah, LAUSD.
The this goes a long way to prevent fraud
Yes.
and abuses. You know, I think this is a really good first step in getting these needed reforms. And it could also serve as a proof of concept in our battle against the trying to get hold of the schools and regulate them and pull them in a bit. In 1812, the Duke of Wellington, first Duke of Wellington, I'm going somewhere with this. I promise you I'm going somewhere with this. The first Duke of Wellington, the Iron Duke, who defeated Napoleon at Waterloo and changed the face of Europe, spoke of his victory by saying, the next worst thing to a battle lost is a battle won. And it's true, we're winning a battle, but now we have many operational changes we're going to have to keep on top of. We probably won't see full operational results of this till mid-27. At best, maybe.
Well, we will have to do regulations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
I
can
know.
tell you,
It's
we're
gonna take-
already starting internally because we know we want to be ready to go. I mean, obviously the governor will sign legislation usually by September 30th, little, you know, window there. And then it will go into effect January 1. We will need to do regulations because we'll need to establish what the fee is. We'll have to do research and workload studies on how we develop that fee. And there's a few other regulatory sections. I think it's written so well that we will not need very many regs, which is great because regulations take so long, but we're going to be ready to go with those regulations.
That's
So
good, but a new burden on our enforcement division, which will probably cost us more.
not really. I think because we are already so deep in investigations on this program, it's going to give them what they need to do their jobs more efficiently.
Okay, then we'll have,
Right now, we have 2.5 special investigators fully dedicated to apprenticeship investigations.
Wow.
And this just gives them more teeth.
oh, yeah.
Yep.
Good. Lots of changes going to happen.
Yep. Motion.
Any additional questions from the board?
I have a question. Thank you so much for the work that you guys have done. Apprenticeship was very hard for me to just follow and understand with all the different entities, and it's definitely beginning to make sense. One question, remind me, LEA stands for?
Local Education Agency.
Okay. And then my next question was, you mentioned establishment owners can now be the licensee in charge without a license?
Yes.
Okay. Is that new, or do we just change the language for that?
So the language is very vague right now today in the law. And so historically been talked about. We've actually tried to change it for quite some time because there's like, should it really be a licensee? But then somebody who owns their business may do all their research that they need on health and safety and run a great, but they can't be in charge of their own business. So this has actually we've been trying to clarify that language for probably 10 years.
Okay.
And so yes, you could be an owner. You might or might not have a personal license yourself, but you could be in charge of
Okay.
that business.
Good to know. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
And the motion just needs to be for SB 1363, because I believe we all agree that we will watch the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary.
This is Board Member Pham. I would move for the board to take a support position for Senate Bill 1363.
I second.
Vote, right? Public comment. Oh.
And now we're going to open up to public comment, and we have.
Thank you, Madam President. Fred Jones, Professional Beauty Federation of California. I'll start with the last bill first and just say it's a credit to the board and to staff, in particular Ms. Underwood, the level of trust that legislators, the policymakers have for this board. It contrasts sharply from past sunsets. But don't count your chickens before they hatch. It's not even halfway through the sausage mill, so we have to make sure it doesn't get sideways in the assembly. On the former bill, I know you're taking a watch position. That's current our position as well, but there are concerns. The POT, holding the POT until students who are on a cash basis is the only leverage schools have in getting those payments. And what happens a lot of times, or sometimes, is students will transfer from one school to another and then complete their schooling elsewhere and demand those hours be transferred and then stiff the first school. I know that goes way beyond the scope of this board, admittedly, but the concern we have from the employer and salon perspective is the vast majority of students go through our schools, not apprenticeship, not out of state or foreign. So that is our workforce development pipeline. Anything that negatively impacts that pipeline, therefore, will impact the rest of the pipeline into our profession and into our industry. On top of this concern is a much more existential threat happening at the federal level. And that is the Department of Education deciding to treat all post-secondary educational institutions the same. So now trade schools will be treated like four-year colleges vis-a-vis debt and loan opportunities. And we are not like four-year degree graduates, and our industry is not like that. And so even by the Department of Ed's own prediction, 92% of our barbering and cosmetology schools, their ability to offer Title IV loans are in jeopardy by their own regulation. And if
30 seconds.
if 92% of our Cosmo and barber schools lose that ability, most of them could go under. The only alternative is to go to all cash directly with their students. And that's where this POT thing comes into play even more strongly. So there's a lot of movement here, a lot of moving parts. And that's why we have a lot of concerns about this POT provision in the BPPE sunset bill. Thanks.
3 minutes, sorry.
Thank you. Have any other public comment? Moderator, open up to online. Reminder that the public comments is limited to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Board President. If any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 11, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, I see no raised hands. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much. We are now going to have a vote. Monica?
I'm ready. Tanya Fairley, Daniel
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez.
Yes.
Sonar Lamelli,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Callie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item number 12. Chrissy, back to you.
All right, that on agenda item number 12 is discussion and possible action regarding our rulemaking process proposals. We have no action needed. This is just a quick update that our disciplinary guidelines have been approved. And this has only taken about 47 years. We are very happy. Thank you to Allison for working on that and to Carrie, who's probably started it literally 10 years ago. They will be approved and effective July 1. So those are the little books that you all had at your place setting when you went into closed session earlier today. Those will be updated for the next time we have a hearing. And that's it. No action is needed.
Sorry, I'm running a note. Thank you. Thank you. I guess we don't need a public comment on this one. Do we need a public comment? Okay, good. That was 13, right? That was 12. Okay. Moving on, agenda item number 13. For public comments on items not on the agenda. No one inside? Okay, moderator, open up for only public comments for items that are not on the agenda.
Thank you, Madam President. If any member would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you called in pressing star 3, we are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. I see no raised hands. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. Moving on to 13. Oh, that was 13. You got it number twice. I'm sorry. Agenda item number 14, suggestions for future agenda items. And I actually do have one. I would like to discuss, which is interesting that Fred was here because my note is on here, about if you guys have not taken a look and saw the workforce grant program that was introduced under the One Big Beautiful Bill. I would like to have some insight if someone can, I don't know who would do that, but research that and give us more information on how that is going to affect the trade schools.
So just to make sure you're talking about, I believe they refer to it as do no harm.
Yes, that's what they refer to it.
Okay.
Do no harm. And then for those of you not aware, I'm going to just summarize smallly. Basically, putting the trade schools kind of in the same boat as a traditional school, and basically taking the probability of how much income can they make from a trade school versus a traditional school and determining if they qualify for aid. So the impact in our industry is going to be huge, but I feel like we need to be educated on that.
We will do our best. It's certainly not in our wheelhouse, so we might look for someone to come present something to us to better understand it.
I have a question addressing what Mr. Fred just shared about the status of PTO is going to be now at four-year institution comparison
That's part of the bill,
of the Big Beautiful Bill.
the one do no harm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would like to get a little bit more insight on that myself.
Yes, and we can certainly put information together. We might ask for someone because we have no authority over it, and we're not experts in Title IV funding. We don't know. We know what schools are doing it because we look it up online, but we don't approve them to do that. So it doesn't impact us as a board, but it obviously impacts the industry greatly. And so we can definitely put something together, try to get somebody to come in and talk to the board and give an overview of exactly what's happening.
Okay, no, just to give some context of why, like, my little antenna went up when Mr. Ford was speaking. I know now it's, as a community college counselor, if the student is even taking one unit outside of what's been mapped out on their comprehensive educational plan, they'll immediately get a notification. It's like a red flag saying you're not enrolled in what you're supposed to be. We're going to remove your financial aid. So then they have to come in and see us. So I'm just, and then we have to make modifications like, well, why are you in this unit or what happened? So I'm just trying to understand in the context of this industry, how that would impact a student that's going to through an apprentice program or,
Won't be apprentices because there's no fees or student aid involved in apprentices. But what I am told is that, am I going too far? I'm told something, but
We're going to save this for when we have it on the agenda.
Okay,
But
apologies.
no, absolutely in the
track.
future, we'll try to find you some information, one
Thank
way or
you.
the other.
feel your hand.
Are there any other requests for the next meeting?
This is Member Pham. I don't have any requests, but since we're about to adjourn,
No one else, no requests? Okay, so before we adjourn, I just want to first personally thank Sabina for all that you have done for me since we've been on the board, for being such a bright light and making sure we stayed in line. And I know that you're probably at 100% right now with our board. So I know that we will live on as the best board you've ever had. But for those of you who are not aware, today is her last meeting with us.
And last meeting with DCA, I believe.
Yes, I'll be going to post on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
And I'd just like to jump in and say I've had Sabina with me for a really long time and have known her even longer than that. So I will miss her greatly. And
10 years?
10 years at least, I think. And then we've been about the same time, very close to the same amount of
Close.
time at DCA. So she'll be
Sabina's
greatly
guided
missed.
me. I've been on the board almost 7 years, and 6 of those years, she helped guide me through COVID as president. And so all of these little things are greatly appreciated.
All right. Okay, so I know we skipped, I should have had public. Okay, I know we wanted to give you love, but we do have to open up for public comment on item number 14. Suggestions for future agenda items. Again, this is something that is not on the current agenda for the future. Moderator, you can go ahead and open up online.
Thank you, Madam Board President. If any member of the public would like to comment or make suggestions for future agenda items, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. And I do see a raised hand from the number 3233. You'll see a prompt to unmute. Go ahead and click on that. All right, we'll try that again. And I believe there you go. You're unmuted now. We can hear you.
Yes, hi. Okay. I was listening to everything, but I have a question. Is there any way that somebody could reschedule me? Because I see you guys are wrapping things up right now. So I was supposed to reinstate my license or plead my case on reinstating my license today, and I didn't get a chance to do it. So do I have to reschedule?
What is your name?
Kaida Roberson.
One moment, please.
You'll need to contact our reinstatement desk. We can look and try to locate your file. We're not aware of anyone else being scheduled today, so we will reach out to you later today.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay.
I see no further requests for comment. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you, moderator. And at this time, our meeting is adjourned.